Uh-oh. Okay, can you guys hear me now? Okay, sound is back. Okay, good deal. Yeah, I just realized that when I was playing the video. All right, cool. No sound on the intro. All right. Yeah, I'm using Streamlabs today. It's not something I normally use. I'm still kind of adapting. I usually use Streamlabs, but we'll get through it. So before we introduce Jason, let's quickly show the missing real quick. Let me pull up the screen here. Share screen. Might have to close my window. So today's missing person case, we've got Dylan Rounds. This is from Lucin, Utah. This is from where I live. He was last seen on the 25th, 19 years old, brown hair, brown eyes. Last seen on the farm where he was working, wearing jeans, dark shirt, and a flannel jacket. Foul play is suspected. Search parties are being planned, and I think it's this weekend. If I get some time, I might even join in on that. But I've got to see what my schedule is like. But I would love to go help them out. But there's a $20,000 reward for that. And we got one more. This is China McGee Mallet, 22. She went missing on the 25th as well. Left her home on foot without a cell phone, and her whereabouts are unknown. She suffers from a cognitive disability. Apparently has a mental capacity of a 14-year-old. Last seen wearing a purple shirt, pink pants, and pink Converse. May have a bag of clothes with her. This is Chandler Police in Arizona. So anybody in that area, keep a lookout for China McGee Mallet, 22 years old, brown eyes, black hair. So, all right, get that out. Stop sharing screen. I keep clicking that wrong thing every time. Okay, sweet. There's gonna be some growing pains using this, but so I am happy to introduce Jason Watts. Let me bring him along here. What's going on? Oh, let me. Oh, you got your mic. Okay, sweet. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, buddy.
Good.
You want to tell just a little bit about yourself and your background and kind of how we met?
Man, I've been the advocate for the Brandon Lawson case for the past several years. Seen some of your work on YouTube. Thought it was great. I think one time I was watching one of your live streams on the Lawson case, and you were cool enough to have me call in and give some info out. And you and I have kind of been talking ever since then.
Yeah, you're gonna help me out with this. I got a new video coming up that I kind of wanted to recap everything, because a lot of the videos I did with Brandon Lawson are live shows, and I kind of wanted to just break it down for just a short video for everybody, just to kind of the overall view. And Tom, who also lives out there, he has been very done a lot of research in the case, and he's kind of had some theories, and I've been trying to want to adapt that without going too wild into speculations on that side. But and then I was thinking, since it's almost coming up on a year with the Summer Wells case, and since they've done a couple of search parties, I kind of thought it'd be interesting to get your views on how you would approach it and what you think law enforcement. But I think before we jump into that, I'll just quickly recap everybody. So let me bear with me. I'm gonna, hopefully this should put us side by side up here, and let me know if you can see the screen, Jason. Like I said, this is something that's all right. Share system with audio. Okay, try using. Okay, let me know if you can hear the audio on this. I might not be able to play the audio.
Well, if not, it's cool. I got the YouTube tab on one of my other tabs open, so I'll be able to see it either way.
Okay, you know what? I know what I'm going to do.
I see everybody in the chat. I don't know how to, respond to them.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can highlight. So if you see a comment, let me know, and I'll highlight it. Give me one second.
Yeah, but I see lots of people saying hello and welcome. So thank you for the welcome. I've always loved the true crime community, man. They're passionate. And
yeah, for sure. Let's see. Let me I'm going to pull up a YouTube clip. I'm going to pull up one of mine here. And this just kind of breaks down just the basic timeline, not too convoluted. I think it's this one here. Yes. And oh, where'd it go? Nope, that's not the one. Okay, I might need to shut my window. All right. Summer Wells, where'd you go? Okay. Okay, here we go. There it is. Okay. Let's skip it forward here. Okay, can you hear that, Jason, the audio?
I'm not sure. It doesn't sound like I can hear it.
Okay, hold on. Okay. Yeah, this is why I don't use Streamlab that much.
It's okay. I've got, I think, hold on here.
But you can see the video, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so I'll just, without me talking. So basically, June 15th, it's Candace, it's Summer Wells, Candace's mother, the grandmother, who we typically refer to as Grandis. And then they picked up Hunter, who was just kind of like, I think he was 15 at the time, just kind of a friend of the family. So it's the four of them. They go to a watering hole in Kingsport. And I think before that, they'd done a few activities like going to the store, got some tobacco and stuff. And then they went to the swimming hole. And then after that, they did go to the grocery store, as you can see here in this pic. And this is actually one of the last videos known, as you can see, it's kind of a cell phone turned to the side. I believe Candace was driving, and then Grandma it pointed the camera back. And this is Summer just sleeping in the back seat here. After they went to the grocery store, they dropped off Hunter, and then they came back on Ben Hill Road. And apparently somewhere between dropping off Hunter and coming home, they take this, it's like a 5-second clip or something like that, where it just shows her just kind of leaning back on some milk cartons here. So then we kind of move forward here. So when they get home, they kind of put the groceries away, and there's 3 boys, and they're all just kind of in the house. And then Summer, I think, goes inside. And then after putting everything away, Candace asks Summer and the other kids if they wanted to help plant some things, but Summer was the only one that was excited enough to do so. So Summer came out, and so they planted some stuff, some flowers. And then after that, this is where kind of the details get fuzzy. But she says, Candace says she goes into, there's a camper right here. And let me skip forward a little bit so you can see the overview here. So you've got the camper where the grandma was staying at, and then you've got the house. Let me press on just a little bit. So apparently after they planted some flowers, Candace went to go into the grandma's trailer to help her out with, I believe, her knee brace. And this would be the last time she saw Summer. She said she saw Summer like on the steps or something like that. And so after, she said she spent like 2 to 5 minutes in the camper, and she came back out, and she came back into the house, and she saw the boys, and she asked the boys, "Hey, where's Summer at?" And they said, "Oh, well, she's playing downstairs." And so just to kind of get a better look at the house here. So as you can see, when you enter from the house, the one side, it's kind of got two levels, I believe. And the basement, which is right here, has got a door right here. And her bedroom's supposed to be right here. And so they think that, after she went down here, she's not sure if this door, usually they're supposed to keep this door locked, and she wasn't able to unlock it. But she's not sure if she had locked it or if the boys had went and played and left it unlocked. And basically after that, that was the last time anyone saw Summer. And so some theories was that she kind of somebody was parked somewhere on this kind of Ben Hill Road and came up and abducted her. A lot more people think that she was, either she had been murdered by the family or there was some kind of accident, and they've been covering it up. So that's just kind of a overall view of the timeline. And then, of course, let me stop sharing this real quick.
Interesting.
Sorry, I clicked out of the wrong thing.
I was about to say, great, I got to lead the show.
Growing pains. Like I said, I hate StreamYard. But anyway, so that's the overall thing. And then so they went on to they started doing a Facebook page, a YouTube thing, the family, Dawn and Candace. But it got sour really bad because they were you could tell they were clearly high when they were, chatting with people, and it just rubbed people the wrong way. And so a lot of people started speculating that the family was involved. So, and yeah, go ahead.
I Googled when you told me, what case you wanted to discuss. I Googled it a little bit. But I mean, at this point, you probably know more about it than I do. What was the family's main theory?
So they speculate that, days before, well, not days, I think a couple of weeks before, and let me see if I can share my screen without, I'm going to try this again. I don't need to play video. Let me try this again. Okay, so here we go. Boom. All right. Much better. All right. So they think, let me blow this up a little bit. So here's the home right here. And you've got this little clearing right here. Now, there were some workers doing some work weeks before. And one of the theories is that they were, kind of maybe one of the workers was scoping the house and saw Summer and abducted her, on the 15th. And then the other theory is, which is basically they think it's some kind of abduction. Either they had taken her from this way, or there's kind of what they call a dog trail that kind of runs right along here and pops out on Ben Hill Road. And, once you get into the tree line, obviously, and I can show you on Google Earth, which is actually probably a lot better because I did kind of, so here's, zoom in here. Get a better view, but yeah, so there's a little dog trail that kind of runs in here. But yeah, once you get into the tree line, you wouldn't be able to see anybody. So in the beginning, I did kind of look at all angles, and it's definitely plausible. You can't leave anything out. But clearly someone could have parked along this little Ben Hill Road and then just kind of went up this trail, dog trail. And, if that door was unlocked, they could have nabbed her if there was an intruder.
That takes balls to walk up into somebody's house and snatch their kid.
Yeah, and they had a bunch of dogs. Now, Don Wells says that these dogs are dumb and they're just dogs that are just dropped off on their property, and that And it is true, because reporters have been shown to show up at the property, and they, sometimes they bark, sometimes they're just, just doing their own thing. They don't care. They're not typical dogs like I have, at my home, where they're always barking at anything that, passes by.
Man, it's kind of hard to. I mean, I wouldn't say that's an impossibility, but for somebody to walk up and snatch a kid that quick, this child allegedly disappeared within a span of what, a few minutes?
Yeah. So she said 2 to 5 minutes. She was in that trailer. And then of course, I guess technically the last people to see Summer would be her brothers, which the brothers ranged anywhere from, and I'm just kind of speculating, anywhere from like 6 to 10. I'm sure people in the chat would know better than I do. But she was the youngest out of the 4. Now, the living conditions were absolutely terrible. Of course, they did drugs. I believe Candace was heavily, I want to say heavily because I don't know for sure, but they did meth and some other drugs. Now, Don, he worked, and he was more of an alcoholic. You'd always kind of see him, drunk on, whenever he was doing interviews, online. And so I wanted to show you just kind of some of the searches. Well, actually, oh gosh, I wish I could have played this video, but like I said, so one of the things about this case is with law enforcement, there's been no word on like any kind of tips or what they need from the public. The only thing that's ever been out there is that there was supposedly a red maroon truck that was supposedly in the area, and they don't even think it was involved. It could have just been a possible witness to, that was just driving by. That's been the only thing that they've kind of released to the public. And so there had been nothing from law enforcement for almost 8 or 9 months. And then I think, I want to say April, they finally did a short interview with the lead investigator, and he said that he does not believe that there's an abduction, and he believes that if they find Summer Wells, they'll find her somewhere nearby the home.
It could be. I mean, I don't have access to the information that law enforcement has, so I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know what their rationale is. I would assume if they did the due diligence, Summer apparently did go in and talk to her brothers and tell them that she was going to go play in the basement. Is that correct?
Yeah, something like, because she, so apparently she came in, and I guess the boys were playing like the video game upstairs, and so she had gone down to, her bedroom's in the basement, I guess. And then usually that door is supposed to be locked, but they said sometimes that the boys would, play and forget to lock the door when they come in. Of course, if that happened, that's not their fault. That's just kids being kids. But, if it was an intruder. But some of the speculation is that they think since she went to a swimming hole, and I'll show you on Google here, just kind of
could have been an accident that was covered up.
Yeah, exactly. And so
that's a possibility too. I would assume if law enforcement did their due diligence, they did question the boys and verify that somebody come in and tell them that. That would be one of the first things I did. That's one of the golden rules. You verify everything. So I would assume that they did that. If they didn't do that, then that's not good. But and that could be one of the reasons that the investigator does not believe that it was an abduction. I like I said, I don't know. Without seeing all the information, I would say that just based off what you're telling me, everything's on the table.
Sure. Yeah.
I would say that it is possible she walked back out of the house and walked in. From what I saw on the Google Maps, just in the time I had to look, isn't that a pretty mountainous, hilly kind of area?
It is, yeah, and we'll get into that in just a minute. Yeah, I'll show you some pictures. I like I said, I pulled up some research on where they've searched, and that's like I said, I've got some questions for you for sure.
I'm definitely interested in seeing that, and I've actually got something to show you here too.
Oh yeah, cool. So this is the watering hole. So this is they would just go, it's pretty shallow right here, and so like I said, it was the four of them. So you had the grandmother, the mother, Summer, and Hunter, and they kind of were out here for I'm not sure how long, not too long. And then like I said, they did a couple things before they went to the watering hole, and then they went back into somewhere in Kingsport, I think, to a grocery store. I'm not sure exactly where. And then after hitting the grocery store, they dropped Hunter off, and then they headed back home. Somewhere as they were heading back home is when you would see the picture of her, sitting up on that milk carton. Yep. And so
I would hope that law enforcement took a look at that video. And most times nowadays, when you snap a photo or a video, the phone timestamps it for you. It's able to tell you when the video was taken. I would hope they would have looked at that.
Yep. Yeah. If you watched the Depp versus Heard case, we all learned about metadata. They were talking about that big time.
That one's over with.
Yeah. So this, so I couldn't find a lot of research on the first official search, but I'm assuming, the first official search would have been, just in the near vicinity of the home, probably that swimming hole, probably any kind of lakes. But the second large scale search was on November 30th. It was a 2-day search. It was a planned ground and aerial search focused on previously overgrown areas. It says 350 acres searched, and they're basically a 1 mile radius from the home. So this red circle here is exactly 1 mile. And so
can you bring that up and show it to me?
Yeah. Can you know? Okay, you can't see that. Okay. Okay. I got like I said. Here we go. Perfect. Yeah. Now I can show you. I'm sorry. Gosh, I thought I was showing you stuff. Oof, growing pains. So yeah, here we are. So this is the red circle is the radius of the mile. Then of course, the red pin is the home. Like you said, it's very mountainous, kind of like you said, very hilly terrain on both sides. There's kind of like a little valley right here.
Yeah.
And so 350 acres search. Sorry, I thought I'd showed you this. Planned ground and aerial search. And so this was on the 30th and the 1st of December. So that would have been 6 months almost since she had been missing. So this was the second official search. And then let me show you and then on the third search, which was this year of the 28th, was looks like a 3-day search. And let's see. So they kind of focused on some particular areas where they had this little clearing here where they were checking out. Also, this Fields Road, there was some fields that they were checking. And I believe on the second search, I forgot to mention, they did do some more searches in bodies of water, which that was something I was going to ask you is, in something like this, if you were, participating, or if you were going to lead a search, what are kind of the details that you would look for as far as like, what previous areas were searched? Do you take that into consideration, or do you just?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would be really, when you said that they searched a 1 mile radius, I would be very curious to know what was searched by air and what was searched by foot. That's what I know. Aerial searches are great, but it's easy to miss things. It's easy to miss things in a ground search, but I would say foot search everything within a 1 mile radius. And
Right.
that's actually going to bring me to what I wanted to show you here.
Yeah.
In looking for Brandon, I began studying a lot about search and rescue, search and recovery, search tactics. I don't know if you've ever heard of NASAR. It's the National Association for Search and Rescue. They offer online courses for people that want to get certified to participate and lead search and rescue missions. And I've actually picked up the book for their introductory class. I'm going to be taking it soon.
Oh, wow.
But one book I also picked up, and I recommend this for a lot of people, that whether you're just interested in lost people or you plan to become a search and rescue technician, is this book here, Analysis of Lost Person Behavior. This is basically a compilation of a study that was done in the late 70s and 80s and it covers behavior of what people will do and how they will behave when they become lost. And there is actually a section in here that is devoted to small children from the ages of 1 to 6. And as you know, summer falls into that age range.
Right.
So if the lead detective is convinced that she is somewhere nearby, he must have some evidence that reasonably leads him to conclude that. I do find, I'm not here to accuse the parents of anything.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that without some kind of reasonable evidence. There are some things that I don't understand, but if I was going to go out there and search for Summer, I would probably search. I would start and cover everything within a 1 mile radius of her last believed position, and I'll actually read you some excerpts from this book.
Sure.
If you would like. So children between the ages of 3 and 6 are, they're more mobile than a toddler would be. And, children are naturally curious. So, could Summer have come back out of the house and seen a rabbit and decided to follow it into the woods? Children are naturally inquisitive. They like to explore. Their navigational skills and sense of direction are not well developed, so if they have a destination in mind when entering a wooded area, they typically won't reach it. Let's see. Rarely succeed in reaching their destination or may run into trouble in attempting to return home. These children do have a concept of being lost and will often make at least some effort to return home, but end up becoming progressively more disoriented. They usually make an effort to find a sleeping spot for the night and are inclined to crawl into a shallow cave, inside a log, or other form of shelter, such as a bush. Let's see here. Some children are so well instructed to avoid strangers that they may remain still and quiet, even if they hear searchers nearby calling.
Yeah, I've read about that.
However, generally, after a prolonged period of being lost, other fears will overcome the fear of strangers and they will gladly respond to their name being called. Statistically speaking, they are easily detected in good weather, up to 90%. In bad weather, they're detectable by 75%. In bad weather, the remaining 25% will be difficult to detect as they burrow under bushes, crawl into logs, or cover themselves with leaves in an attempt to keep themselves warm. Now, when it comes to children that have been found, there's some interesting statistics here. In hill or mountainous terrain, which would apply to Summer, obviously, 35% go uphill, 11% stay on the same level, and 56% of the children tend to travel in a downward direction. 65% are usually recovered within a 1 mile radius. So I can see why they're starting with the 1 mile radius. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to get my questions here so I don't forget to ask you because I wrote down some questions.
Yes. Which book was she wanting to know the name of?
Oh, the second one. Yep. Analysis of Lost Person Behavior.
Yeah, it's actually a really cheap book. I think it was only like $10. It's not a very big one. It's about 63 pages, but it is packed full of very interesting information.
That's awesome. Have you? I'm sure you probably heard it. Do you follow David Pilatus?
Yeah, David Pilatus, Missing 411. Yes, I've seen a lot of his work.
Yeah, I haven't really read his books yet because I'm I'd have to like get books on tape. I've always just had ADD, and I can read something a million times, and not but yeah, his work is amazing. One of the things that I want to point up about some of the things that he's kind of found in his research through his kind of like bullet points of or case points as he calls them is that people that go missing and then people, they'll have a search party for that missing person in national park, where that person went missing, and they do a couple days of searching and they don't find them. And then weeks go by or months go by, and then some random hiker comes by and finds that person's body right where they did, multiple searches at. And that's something that's been very common. It's not every case, obviously, but it's definitely up there in one of his, case points is that, some of these people that when they do get discovered, they're discovered where. So it's like with the body moved, and with national parks, obviously that's, it's kind of a different environment, it's, wild animals involved or,
Yeah. Dave tends to lean a little more towards the paranormal than I would, but nevertheless, he's those things are very valuable. And I think it's great that he's gathering information like this. Like I said, this book was an analysis of studies done in the late 70s and 80s. I'd like to see an updated version.
Oh yeah, gosh, no kidding. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you said the 70s, right?
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look here, which I believe this is an analysis of studies that was conducted during the late 70s and early 80s.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I did want to note, where was I here? That they actually note a case in which a 5-year-old child was found 4 miles downhill from the point last seen. So there are instances in which the child will cover quite a bit of ground. It just depends on the terrain, the factors, the weather. Do you happen? Summer went missing in July. Yeah, because it's
so it'd be summer. Yep.
I don't know what the weather in Tennessee is like in July. I would assume not cold. So I mean,
should have been.
I think they're doing the responsible thing as far as the search goes. But I would cover the entire 1 mile radius with a foot search.
Yeah. So when with Brandon Lawson, what does it take to for someone like you, if you were going to go do which is it considered independent searching? Since it's not law enforcement. Private. Okay. So what do you have to go to law enforcement before you go to do these searches? These private searches.
In Brandon's case, we didn't talk to them every single time we went out there. I had the private investigator that assisted me with the case make initial contact with them when I first started doing the drone searches. So they knew that we were searching for him in some capacity. We didn't tell them every single time we went down there. Brandon's case was a little bit unique. It was an 8-year-old cold case. Law enforcement was not actively searching for him. Mm-hmm. They were only reacting to information that would come into them, if any. Every state is different.
Sure.
If law enforcement does not have active plans to search a property, then by law, you wouldn't be interfering with an investigation unless you tried to collect evidence.
Oh, yeah.
Walking around and looking for evidence is one thing. Picking it up and collecting it is something completely different. So, you're not violating the law by not telling them you're going down there and searching.
Sure.
You do have to have, obviously, landowner permission because, it's private property.
Yeah. That leads into my next question. How was that? Because you had to get permission to go onto that property that his remains were found on. What was that like? Was that easy? Was that, what did you?
Yes and no.
Okay.
We had a program that helped us identify who owned what parcel of property we were interested in. Now, sometimes the problem we ran into was the county records were not as up to date as we'd hoped. And so, like the first time I reached out to this particular landowner, where we ended up finding him, it gave us a completely wrong address, and we didn't hear back from the landowner. And we thought, okay, he's not going to let us search. And then I actually had private investigator Barry, look a little bit deeper into them, and he found the court records weren't up to date, and this person lived at a completely different address.
Oh no!
Yeah. So once we sent the letter to the right address, we got a response.
It's so they approved and was okay with it.
Yeah, they were so good to us, man. And
that's cool.
Like I stated before, they didn't even know about the case. They don't live on the property. They live in a completely different part of the state. They don't go to the property that often. I think the landowner told me he himself hadn't been out there in 2 or 3 years. They just own it for hunting. Sometimes they let some buddies go hunt on it. But yeah, once we told him what was going on, and he, they immediately said, yeah, we'll be more than happy to help you out. Go down there. We'll come down there, open up the gate for you. Y'all get down there and do your thing.
That's awesome. Because that's interesting, because I've seen, and I can't remember the case off the top of my head. And there's been multiple where they would think that there's like possible, like a property where they think a body was buried, under the cement or just on the property itself, like at a home. And there's multiple times where when you're watching a documentary like this, and they say the property owners say no, when they're talking in a documentary, they're like, well, we don't have permission to search this property. And it's like, that's terrible.
That's the way, the Constitution and the laws of our country are set up. People have a constitutional right to their privacy.
True. That's true.
I don't necessarily fault them or cast suspicion on them for exercising their right.
Sure.
There were instances where we had that with Brandon. This is my property. I don't consent to a search.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. And you have to respect that.
Sure. Oh, sure.
As much as it's disappointing, and as much as you wish they would have a change of heart, I mean, that's their right.
Sure. Yeah. So let me, so let's see if I can do this properly again. Okay. So I switched just over there. Perfect. Something else I was going to show you. Drop that down. Let me pull up Google Earth. So,
yeah, let's take a look at this.
So zooming back in here. So here's kind of.
Now while we're doing this, there is one tactic I would try.
Okay. Yeah, let's hear.
I'm assuming Summer's house is in the middle of this circle, correct?
Yeah. So here, we'll zoom in on it. So now what's interesting is this is kind of like a hill, because it's Ben Hill Road. So you kind of got this little hill here. So obviously, like you said, she's going to basically almost any direction. She's going to go downhill in the beginning. You've got the main valley here. I'll kind of zoom in. So you've got the kind of the downward slope here. And then obviously on both sides, you've got, your hills going back up. So what you think?
Well, statistically speaking, whether it's a child or an adult, a person will travel the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Going downhill is a lot easier than going uphill, obviously, even for a child.
Sure.
I would follow this terrain downhill.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And that's a most likely line of travel, is downhill, the path of least resistance. So all these open fields here,
mm-hmm.
I would definitely take that into consideration when planning out my search. What I would do is I would not start at the house and work my way out. I would start at that outermost radius of this mile and work my way back in, because the theory is if Summer's walking from the house and away from the house, and you're coming in, you could possibly intercept her, beat her in the middle.
Right.
That's how I would do it.
Now that would be obviously early in the when she just went missing. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. I'm going to check my questions. Wait. Let's search an area.
If you fail to locate her within the 1 mile radius, I would move to 2 miles out and work my way back in.
So you would start on the outside going in. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, gosh, this is tough. Now, would you, let's say if there's bodies of water, would you focus on that first?
I would follow along those bodies of water. Bodies of water and roadways will sometimes act as natural barriers. An adult may try to swim across a body of water, but a child's probably a little bit less likely to do that.
Right. Because we had 2 cases. We had Thomas Howe, who I don't know if you heard about him. So he
haven't heard about that one.
I think it was last year. So he gets in a wreck on the freeway, right? He gets hit. And supposedly he must have gotten some kind of concussion or something. And so he gets hit. And so the lady, the witness, she had like a kid in the back of the car, 1 or 2 kids. And so I think he hit the guardrail first, or hit her and then hit the guardrail, either one. So so the accident happens on the freeway. The witness, she checks on the kids first, right? And then she kind of gets out of the car and goes to check on the guy, and she just sees him just running, just dead sprint. And so he runs off, and there's this park to the left or west of the freeway. He goes through this park. They would find his cell phone at the edge of the park, and then he would go missing for about, I believe, a month. And I was kind of covering the case, and I was like, so there's this kind of like little parkway that goes from the park, and it kind of goes in between 2 neighborhoods, and it eventually leads to a pretty big river that's flowing south. And anyway, it was kind of weird because I was just kind of estimating where I would think he might be, and I was kind of thinking, God, he might have taken this little parkway. And sure enough, after I think a month or so, they found his body kind of in the river, kind of somewhere, caught up on, something, on some debris, sadly. But they think, because he had no history of, mental illness or drugs or anything. He just graduated. He had, a great future ahead of him. So it's believed that he, must have got some kind of concussion and, just dead sprint, and then unfortunately went to the body of water for some reason, and boom. And then I don't know if you heard about the Ariana Grande I knew I was going to say that. Ariana Taylor case.
I have not.
Okay, so she and this happened more recently. She, same thing, freeway. She had been drinking before. They don't know if it was foul play or not. Anyway, she gets in a wreck off this freeway. She comes off the overpass, goes through a fence. The fence post actually comes through the windshield, and they think it clipped her somehow, so it injured her. But there was no witnesses, and they just have what's left at the scene. But she was missing for, I think, at least a week. And then they found her face down in a body of water about a quarter mile away. Now, this wasn't like a creek or anything. It was like a kind of like a tall grass. I forget what they call it. But anyway, she did travel. But it's just kind of weird how bodies, people that go missing, kind of end up. It's not every time, but, go to water.
Water ends up, it almost acts like a barrier that contains them from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. And there's several instances of that in this book.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Statistically speaking, most people don't travel further than a mile from where their last known position is. Now, you will come across the small percentages that make it 2 or 3 miles out. It all depends. Obviously, I mean, if you're wandering around with a concussion, you're in a very confused state of mind. You're probably not going to go very far.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, just kind of touching back on summer wells. So yeah, just the overview with the parents. So they were even on Dr. Phil. I don't know if you saw that. Unfortunately, I couldn't play the clip. Like I said, I've got to practice more on StreamYard. But they actually went on Dr. Phil. But it was weird. The mother, Candace, she got up and left, and it was just it's a strange interview, and so I would say most people suspect some kind of foul play, and they try to cover it up,
Right. Man, I would just have to see more information on their movements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If they, without knowing more of a timeline on where they went afterwards, what they did, it's hard for me to say.
Right.
I mean, is that possible? Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh,
You bring up a great point. I'm sorry to interrupt, but so I don't forget, you brought up a great point with the interview with the brothers, because if they did confirm that they saw the sister for the last time in that home, that would confirm that, hey, she made it back home safe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As long as the brothers aren't lying, which I don't see why.
Yeah. And then you would have to have 3 brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think that's a great point about the interviews with the brother. And then, so I think, obviously the lead investigator, like you said, has more info, has all the cards, or more cards than we do. So I think with him saying that, she's going to be found close by, I think that's kind of a hint. Not saying that not saying that the parents did it, but,
with me just learning about the case today and not seeing more, it's today. I would like to know more.
Yeah.
The first thing you do, as it's one of the first duties you have as an investigator, to verify everything you're being told. So if the mother's sitting there saying, yes, we went to the watering hole, we went swimming, we went to the grocery store, and we came back home, you would think the first thing they would do was pull the cell phone records, check where people were pinging,
right?
Local businesses, verify, yes, they did come into the grocery store, speak to other people that were at the supposed watering hole. Hey, did you see this family here? You verify everything.
Yeah.
And if the lead investigator's opinion is that Summer is somewhere in the area of the home, then I would assume he did all that. Now, I don't know. I'm not him, but
right.
I would just need to see. I would need to see more.
Yeah. So, and the problem with this case was that it got real toxic, and I actually stopped covering her for a long time because you ended up having, I don't know if you know Jonathan Lee Riches and Blowhorn Betty. Have you ever heard of them? Okay, they're the ones that were out protesting on the laundries. They're the ones out there with the blowhorns. That's Jonathan Lee Riches. Anyway, they ended up going to, I'm not sure, like 4 months after she'd been missing, 4 or 5 months. And so they went up on the property and was, doing their thing up there. And after that, it just, there's this YouTuber that went up there and befriended them and was acting all crazy. And then we come to find out that he just infiltrated them and was just trying to get buddy trying to get information. Anyway, and then you have a bunch of content creators, hashtag Summer Wells, and they're just talking about just gossip. And I mean, I don't know, like I said, it just kind of got really toxic, and it was just really just all rumor. And I just had to get out because it was just like there's nothing, actual factual that's coming out.
Yeah. Are law enforcement is law enforcement currently asking the public for information? Like, if they put that out in a statement, anybody with information, please come forward.
The only thing would be the maroon truck. The red maroon truck is the only thing. I'm sure chat could correct me, but I think that is the only thing. There is no other vehicle, no other, anything. That is it. So it's not the, it's kind of hard for the public to help, other than just saying, hey, here's, Summer Wells, here's her picture, and I forget what the reward is up to, because I've heard conflicting reports on
one thing they could do is find out who owns all that land within whatever mile radius you choose, 2 or 3. I would put letters in their mailboxes or mail them letters. Hey, will you please check your property? We have a young girl missing in the area.
Oh,
You'd be surprised how many times you will find people own property, but they don't live there. Just like with Brandon, they just have that property for recreational, or maybe one day they'll get to building a house on it or whatever. And they're not from the area. They don't live in the area. They don't know anything about the case. So I would do that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And actually that's interesting you mentioned that, because as a matter of fact, this is, I think it's been, I'll just mention, apparently it's, a neighbor heard a scream, but, I've heard a lot of people say that was not true, but she was on the news, and she was apparently one of the property owners, and she was, I think, selling part of her property or something. She supposedly heard a scream around the time, but I don't think it's been fully confirmed on that. And I tried to do research on that.
Looked into that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't know how rural is the area.
Yeah. So let's pop it back up right there, and it is pretty rural.
Yeah.
So let me zoom in just to kind of show you. So you've got their house here, right here. Now the driveway to get up here, it kind of loops up in here, and so you can kind of like drive around and come back out. And then, like I said, you've got this little dog run trail, which I wish I could have shown you in that video, but
yeah, I see it. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a dog run trail that just kind of heads out, and as a matter of fact, her door would be facing this way. You know, that door I was showing you to her bedroom or the basement. And so it's almost just kind of, I think it pops out somewhere about here. So anyway, you know, if it was an abduction, you know, you could have had someone here if that was, you know,
absolutely awesome.
But as you can see, you know, the nearest neighbor, you got them here. You've got a house up here. It looks like one or two here. And let's just kind of shift over. As you can see, it's heavily wooded area. So, I mean, you've got one. I wish I would have made some pins, but yeah, you got 1, 2. So pretty spaced out, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Man, it's hard to say, dude. It really is.
Yeah. But no, it's interesting to get your viewpoints. I mean, I think that's really interesting that, you know, you would start on the outside, come in.
Yeah, well, the reason I would do that is because you figure law enforcement probably started at the house and worked their way out.
Sure.
So when one tactic's not working, you switch tactics and try something else. So I would start at the outer band and work my way back in. Knowing what they've done. If I was going into this like this just happened an hour ago, I would start at the house and work my way out. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, with this timeline, yeah, you would start outside. And then, yeah, like you said, I think that's fascinating that, would you say 55% that they're going to go downhill?
Yes, 55%. Here we go. Let me go back to this.
You're good. So,
yeah. 56% go of all the cases studied. 56% of the children traveled in a downward direction. 65% were found within a 1 mile radius, and yeah. I mean,
interesting.
There's some other statistics here too. Sure. 57% of the cases, the child would use a travel aid, such as a path, game trail, or follow a drainage that afforded a path of least resistance. The remaining 3% were found in brushy areas. Keep in mind, they often find it relatively easy to scoot or crawl through certain types of vegetation, as they are children, that appear impassable to adults.
Ooh, interesting. Before I forget, if you guys have any questions for Jason, because we kind of planned just to go for an hour, because
we're actually fine. We can run a little over an hour if that's good for you.
Yeah.
I get it.
I appreciate you coming on.
Hey, man, I'm happy to do it. I mean, I'm certainly no expert, but I'm trying to learn. So
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So what do you guys, as for resources, what do you guys usually have for when you go out to do something like this? Like vehicles, canine,
it depends on the property being searched.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it all depends on a myriad of circumstances.
Mm.
In Brandon's case, it was mostly foot search. Sometime when we're doing the drone searches, obviously it was a drone. One thing I typically would do on a foot search is because the area was inhabited by wild hogs, I would have my drone pilot come out and fly over the property first to see if there were any wild hogs wandering around before I put a bunch of people out there.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, if there's a bunch of hogs running around, then you got to be extra careful. And I wanted to know where they would be before I,
Yeah.
as much as you can before you go into it.
I've never encountered a wild hog. Will they come at you?
They will attack if they feel threatened. Like if you come across a mama with baby pigs, she will charge you to defend her babies. Absolutely.
Sure.
If you make them mad, they'll come after you. If they're hungry and starved, they may. There's been a couple of documented cases where hogs have tackled a human and tried to eat them. It's not very common, but it has.
Sure. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, I kind of looking to the right to just check to see if anybody's got a question while we're discussing. And I had a question, and let's see, down there. They are mean. Bianca says they are mean hogs.
They can be. You make them mad, they'll come after you.
Let's see.
They're like any other animal. Their natural instinct, which is probably to run, but they'll attack.
Yeah. Now to so like I said, you're kind of the lead. So what kind of training is it just volunteers that kind of led?
Yeah. People are different. Some people will just accept any volunteer that walks in off the road. I kept a group of people that I was associated with and trusted.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, sure. You don't want them going picking up evidence or something like that. And
don't have. Okay. And with Summers and Brandon's, even though you have suspicions, obviously, in Summers' case, right? Could it be foul play? Yeah, but you don't have any evidence of that. Now, that doesn't mean that won't change.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, like, if you're going out there to look for Summer and you find a little kid's shoe, don't touch it. Even if you don't even if you think, this was just an accident. Because even though you don't think right now that it's foul play, that can change at the drop of a hat, man. Somebody could call in tomorrow and say, hey, yeah, I killed that little girl. Now, the first thing his court-appointed attorney is going to do is look at the fact that you picked that shoe up.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be good for a prosecution at all.
Evidence contamination.
Exactly.
Yeah, or you could have dropped the shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Searching for it is one thing. Collecting it, I've been on a few searches where people wanted to pick things up, and I'm like, don't do it. Just if you think it's real evidence, take pictures of it, send it to the police. They're smart enough to know that if it's viable evidence, they'll come out there, they'll collect it. Vast majority of law enforcement agencies, they do want to see cases solved. So if they think it's real evidence, they'll act on it. I mean, that's exactly what happened in Brandon's case. Those guys, as soon as we called them, they were out there in 10 minutes.
Oh, really? Yeah. Wow. That's so amazing. I forget, how many days did it take you guys searching?
Just the one.
Oh, it was the first day, right? God, that's amazing. That's amazing.
We got on the property around 10 in the morning, and I think we found the evidence at like 3:30.
Holy cow, that is so cool. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's so cool.
Yeah, one day I'll come on and we'll go a little more in depth with it. But I mean, I can answer questions now, obviously. But
Yeah.
we'll do like a
No,
rundown.
that would be awesome. And then I'll know how to work StreamYard. I'm supposed to get Skype. I'm either going to be using Skype or Zoom through my Streamlabs, which is that's what I mainly use, and I can use that with my eyes closed. But when it
Yeah.
comes to StreamYard, I don't use it often, and so yeah, I growing pains on that. But we're learning here.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I do hope that they. Do you think that they actually went missing? Do you think that they sold her? I feel she's still alive. I don't have enough evidence to be able to answer that.
Yeah, he would. And to answer that as well, I don't think that is a big theory, though. They think, as far as like people suspecting the parents, there was, obviously some kind of murder, because drugs, because they were into drugs. They're thinking, oh, they sold her daughter. Also, there's actually one of the last videos of Summer is she's kind of jumping in the rain, and there's this red barrel, and the red barrel says for sale on it. So people kind of took that as, that they made this video, and and she's jumping in front of the barrel, and got the for sale. That's I don't think they're that. They are not good people at all. They should have never had kids. I'll say that. The conditions that they were living in are terrible.
Like you said, they're living in some rough conditions. I mean,
very bad.
I don't know their story. I don't know their life, story or anything like that.
Right.
But I mean, and I'm not here to badmouth or trash anybody, but having kids in that kind of situation is not good.
Yeah. It's and what's crazy. So just I forget. So the grandmother, right? Who we call Grandis. So you got Candace and then Grandis.
Right.
Her in 2006. So Candace's sister Rose actually went missing. And was
yes, I did read that. Yes.
Yeah, crazy. So now they have two.
Yeah, in 2009, right?
Okay, it might have been 2009. Yeah,
I don't know what the circumstances are, but I did see that in one of the news articles. Yes.
Yeah, crazy, and has never been found. No trace. I have no idea what I think she went to like a bar or something, or she was going to a bar and never seen again. And
I will say this though. Okay, let's say something happened to Summer and they covered it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the first rule of a cover up or a conspiracy?
What's that?
The more people that are in on it, the less likely it is to be true, because a large group of people can't keep their mouth shut that long.
Oh, so true. So true.
So in order, and really, okay, so let's say this is a cover up. Who's in on it? Mom, grandma, brothers, right? So that's 5 people right off the bat that are keeping this quiet, right?
Right.
So at some point, if that's true, somebody's going to break.
Somebody's story would change. Yeah.
Especially if enough pressure is applied to it.
You do make a very great argument, and that's something, because when this came out, I kind of was on the side of the abductor. And now I'm kind of on the fence, and that's kind of where I should be, just because.
Yeah, I mean, I am too. I don't have enough information.
Yeah, but no, you make a great point for that side.
It's just like people that think that 9/11 was a conspiracy. There's no way in hell 1,000 politicians kept that crap secret. One guy would have immediately went out the back door like, they're going to blow up the buildings. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. But no, like you said. And so and the other thing is so like I said, after she was went missing, they went on Facebook and YouTube Live, and they were, doing these lives with any content creator. But the problem was that they were like high and drunk and belligerent, and I kind of like I said, and I always kind of argued, well, I figure if they were in on it, they would have kind of slipped up or changed their story. And then obviously their story has kind of changed. I think details have changed, and that does kind of happen over time with any cases. Some stories will change.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's not, with me saying that, I don't, like I said, I'm not saying they didn't do it or did it. With the content creator, have to kind of be neutral and just present,
Well,
the
you
sides.
have to do that until you have enough information to lead you to reasonably conclude
Once,
something, and you just don't have that in
sure.
this case. I mean, with Brandon, I had enough information to for me to reasonably conclude that he had to be somewhere still in the area. It was
Oh
summer.
yeah,
I don't, I don't have enough,
yeah,
So
sure,
are all these possibilities that are being passed around in the chat room possible? Oh yeah, absolutely. Nothing.
yeah,
Everything's on the table until you can reasonably, conclusively rule it out.
yeah. Grandma sketchy as hell. Yeah, apparently Grandma took off quite after that she went missing. Some speculate because she had her own daughter, go missing, and then so she just didn't want to deal with the media.
Well, I mean, and
But
that's possible. If
yeah,
I was an investigator on this case and I heard that Grandma took off, the first thing I would probably do is I wouldn't say, okay, she's leaving because she did something and she can't live with it. The first thing I would do is say, okay, let's go talk to Grandma, find out why she left, what's going on. I would look into it.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, Melissa says Grandma knows more than said. Yeah, like I said, a lot of people think it's some kind of cover up or something, and it could have been. Like I said, they've had a rough history, so it's definitely no out of the realms of possibility.
Yeah.
So
who is thought criminal? She wouldn't speak to anyone. That a lot of people will look at that suspiciously.
sure,
But I try to look at things from an investigative standpoint, but also a realistic standpoint too. The fact that somebody won't speak to you is not enough to reasonably conclude that they're guilty of something.
mm-hmm.
And in a court of law, that's the entire purpose of the Fifth Amendment. You have the right. You have the right to not say anything. You have the right to remain silent, to not say anything that may incriminate you. Not that you're actually guilty.
Right.
You may say something that could be taken as guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't establish guilt just because somebody exercises the right not to talk.
Yeah.
A matter of fact, I know in a court of law, there is a precedent, Griffin versus California, that strictly says a jury cannot find somebody guilty just because they won't talk.
Interesting. Makes sense. I mean, that's you're right.
It's the prosecution's job to establish guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. It is not the defendant's job to take the stand and say something that might help them.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's why it's there. I'll look at a few more comments here. So since we're kind of getting towards the end, I want to say that I will be finishing this video. I know you've been kind of busy, but we'll get that video, cleared up, the details when you can.
Oh yeah,
no worries on that.
I have not forgot about you. I promise. I'm just
no. I just want to say that that video will come out when it comes out, and I'll have the help from Brandon or from Jason. So I really appreciate that. And then Tom, as you know, Tom is the one that kind of been helping me with that case.
Yeah.
We were going to do another series, just kind of talk about, I think a little bit more of the 911 call, and then he's been doing some stuff. But unfortunately, I think he had a death in the family or something, and sadly, he's, I hate to hear that. He's an amazing person. So, but sometime in the near future, we'll be doing something. So maybe we can reach out to you and plan something ahead.
I'm sorry I wasn't a little bit more helpful in this case. I just don't have enough evidence.
No, and there isn't. I mean, there isn't any. Yeah.
And a lot of times that's why cases don't get solved, is because law enforcement doesn't have enough evidence to go off of. I mean, as we say in Texas, they don't know which way to shit or wind their watch.
But you made a great point though about mailing out letters and stuff. Like, I think that's it's not a bad idea to, like, mail out, if I was the family or something, mail those out to all the, property owners.
Everybody within, I would do a 5 mile radius just in case
Yeah.
somehow managed to make it that far.
Yeah.
It's I mean, just looking at it, just learning about it now, it's very frustrating because she's a 5-year-old kid,
Yeah.
she deserves to be found. This
Yeah.
poor young thing went somewhere, and she doesn't deserve to be, whether it's in a bad, whether she went out to the woods and something happened to her.
Yeah.
She doesn't deserve to be laying out in the woods. And if somebody did do something to her, then absolutely they deserve to be brought to justice and answer for the crime. 100%.
Sure. Yeah.
The little girl deserves justice, whether it lies, in the woods or with an individual.
Sure. Well said. Let me just look at the comments one more time, see if anybody's got a question real quick.
Yeah. I'm still good on time. If you're still good on time.
Okay. Yeah. Just reading the comments here. First person acted.
The cartoons and the apple juice seem to be holding out for my
Oh
kid.
yeah. No, there you go. So yeah. Thank you guys, everybody. Everybody's just showing support.
Her parents have never looked for her.
Yeah.
I can see how people would find that suspicious, but also the flip side of that coin. If it's been this long, if it's been this long and she's out in the woods, would you really want to see your kid's remains? I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I would not be able to emotionally handle that.
Yeah, in defense, if they are not guilty, they did try, the media route, but it just backfired. I mean, and partially it is just on them because they it just didn't look good. Like I said, you had Don would be on there and he would just be, drinking, and then you would have kind of Candace in the background, like screaming at him because, like one time he was doing an interview with Molly Golightly. Do you know Molly Golightly? Oh, okay. Anyway, she's a content creator, and just very, very colorful. And anyway, so but a female, and so anyway, so Candace was thinking that he was like hitting on Molly, but he was just trying to get the information out there. Anyway, it started a big fight that was caught all on, live on YouTube. You can find it, and it don't look good because you kind of got him just cussing at her, and then she's cussing at him, and Molly's trying to ask him questions, and
that's not good when you're trying to do an interview about your missing child.
Yeah. So it really came off bad when they're trying to get the for sure.
I would, man, if it was me and I was in charge of this case, I would just keep doing what I'm doing, keep doing the searches, keep questioning people, keep asking the public for information. One thing, kind of as a general rule, if law enforcement is asking for information from the public, that means, they're just like we are. They don't have enough. If law enforcement is quiet, then that's a pretty good indication they're working on something. So just bear that in mind when you're looking not only at this case but other cases. I just wish I had more.
No. It's cool just to have you on. No, but you make a great point with that because Carlin Schulte case, the Moab murders. I'm from Utah, and Carlin Schulte and Crystal Turner, the newlywed couple, as they're referred to. So that was. That case actually did have some information that because they were looking for like a creepy guy and wanted to know where the public was at if they were around a certain area at a certain time. So they did have some stuff out for the public to help so have the public's help. But yes, they were also very silent. And then finally, they came out with a suspect. Now it's kind of weird because just before they released that information, Dog the Bounty Hunter had came out just a few days prior to help them with the investigation. And apparently they ended up getting, with all their sources, they found a suspect, but it didn't match the one that was so Adam Pinkowitz is the guy that the Grant County Sheriff's Office has named their suspect, who supposedly killed the girls, then traveled to another state, and then supposedly confessed to a friend, and then killed himself. And so he'd been dead this whole time, and that's kind of why it took so long for them to, discover.
That's probably exactly why they weren't saying anything. They wanted enough time to gather enough evidence to where they could reasonably name the guy as a suspect. You don't want to just go spouting names off. That's not a good idea. I mean, there's a difference between legitimate suspicion and then just rampant paranoia against against a person.
Sure. You want to read that? You want me?
You were really I appreciate that. This whole thing with Brandon and it's been a learning process for me. One of the things I tried to do, especially during lockdown and during COVID and all that crap, is I tried to study books like this. And matter of fact,
wow!
Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna mute this and back up, and I'll share with you guys some of the books I read that helped me learn all this. And I recommend Chris, I would recommend you read a couple of these because it will help you understand so much about how the criminal investigation process works, why law enforcement does things the way they do them. And having that knowledge will take you a long way. So yeah, just give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Buddy. No problem. Thank you, Patricia, for your comment. And thank you guys, everybody, for tuning in and sticking with us here. Jason Watts is the special guest tonight. He's the one that helped find the remains of Brandon Lawson. That was almost 8 years the family had to go through, not knowing what happened to the father, a father, a brother, a great friend. And he went out 8 years later and helped find the remains. And so how cool is that? And so we have him on the show. So he's wanted to read something for us, some research that he had.
Yeah. So one book, well, this is actually the instructor's edition, but you could probably find it somewhere. This book right here. This will help you understand so much about gathering evidence, how it's presented at a prosecution, how to interpret evidence. This one you will learn so much from. So if any of you guys want to take a screenshot of this real quick, I think there's a QR code. I'm not sure how well it'll show up on your camera, but it's Criminal Evidence by Judy Hales.
Yeah, I'll write that down.
And it'll teach you, what cops can and cannot do when they pull you over. It'll clearly define the Fourth Amendment about, let's say you pull me over and arrest me. Did you know if you arrest me and you're going to search the car, you can only search the areas of the car that I can reasonably reach, unless you have reasonable suspicion that I'm smuggling drugs in the trunk or something like that. Then if you arrest me, your search has to be limited to the passenger compartment of the car.
Is that right?
Yep.
So that's why, of course, now when they ask you, hey, can I search your car? And you say yes, then does that mean that now they can search the entire car?
Yeah, that is a consent to search.
Right.
The entire vehicle.
So when you say no, they can only search that area. Yeah. Interesting.
Melissa wants to know, am I a cop? No, I'm not a cop. I do not want to be a cop in these times. Just no. If I could skip street cop and go straight to detective, then I might consider it. But no, I don't have a desire to go out every night and wonder if I'm going to get shot at.
Oh, yeah. But that's
Michelle, Jason, the book is $78. Go to Half Price Books or something like that. I actually think I did find this in Half Price Books.
Or maybe Books on Audio might be cheap.
Yeah. What's the name of the other one? I don't remember the other website where you can listen to books online or whatever.
Oh, yeah. No, it's Audible.
Audible, yes.
Audible, yeah. Audible. Yeah. Oh yeah. First, I'm sure something like that.
Another book that helped me out was this one right here, Basic Criminal Law: The Constitution, Procedure, and Crimes, by Anakin Davenport. This one, I think this is the book I actually read where if they arrest you, they're supposed to limit the search to the passenger compartment of the car.
Yeah.
And if they violate that, then you're probably going to get your charges dropped.
Oh, that's crazy.
Fruit from a poisonous tree doctrine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Let's see.
Yeah, I've got one more here, and I'm
Sure.
actually not even.
Can you put the Chris, can you put the book
My
title? Oh, okay. Yeah. So let me
Here.
Basic Criminal Law. Let me type that one in. Basic Criminal Law by.
I'll try to get the name close to the camera so you can read it.
Okay. Let me. I'm just typing in law wrong. Okay. Yep. I see it. Give me 1 second. Davenport, right?
Yeah. And honestly, everybody in the chat room, if I know some of these books can be pretty expensive.
What was
even if you just go to like your local half price bookstore and grab a book that's similar to it, that will still help you learn.
Yeah. What was the other one?
The first one.
Because you had like 3 books.
Criminal Evidence by Judy Hales. When we were locked down for COVID, I read all of these books. Like I'm a super fast reader. So I read all of these books within like a couple of months.
Yes. So used thrift books, I found one for $8, but wow, there's one for 40. But I think the same one's $8.
They don't have to be these specific books. I mean, any book on the Constitution or criminal evidence or criminal proceedings, any book like that.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, what was that last one that you just showed? I got the criminal. I'm sorry, the other one, the big one. I think so. Yeah, Judy Hales. Yeah. Criminal evidence. Okay. Thank you,
Chris. I would recommend you if you haven't checked, you grab this book or one similar to it, man. Like I said, I think if the true crime community read a lot of these books, there wouldn't be as much rumor and speculation, and it's okay to have opinion and discuss it, but it's important to be reasonable with that opinion. Yes.
Oh, so true. And yeah, it's tough when you're a content creator because it's hard not to put your own. Yes.
Well, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with putting your own spin on it, but I think it's important to have a basis for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You got to have some kind of facts to draw off your theories, and
it's important to. I think it's important to understand how to analyze evidence. And
sure.
I mean, take for example, you're walking down the town square and you hear a scream and a gunshot, and then you see me take off running. Half the people that see that are like, "Oh my God, Jason Watts just shot somebody." Well, in reality, what happened was I stepped out of my shop, saw somebody else shoot somebody, said, "Screw this, I'm out of here," and took off running. But it won't stop the online community from accusing me of shooting somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. To add on to that point, you had a girl, oh gosh, I forget the name. And this just happened not too long ago, where she calls her friend up. She says, "There's somebody following me." And then while she's still talking to her, and she tells her friend to call 911, and then all of a sudden the phone like hangs up, and they find a backpack on the ground, I believe, and then they have some video evidence of her shortly after the supposed phone call, and she's walking behind a neighborhood, and she's just walking gingerly. And so people were thinking, well, was she abducted? And then once people had seen her walking, a lot of people were like, or was this kind of some kind of planned thing to just run away? And it turned out her mother was, I think, abusing her or something, and she was just trying to get away. And so that just kind of adds on to your point, because
Yeah,
it was so weird. When I went to cover that, I didn't know about the background of the family, and I was just kind of jumping in on the story, and I was wondering why my chat's like, oh, she's probably just a runaway, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. Why is everybody thinking she's a runaway? And then, you know, once you, especially when you see the footage, she's just kind of gingerly walking after this supposed 911 call, or talking to her friend to call 911. Very, very wild. So.
Yeah, the last book I shared with you. Now, this one may not be that easy to pick up because it's an actual textbook, but I got this from Half Price Books. I think it was like $10. This one has taught me a lot. Like, I learned how to photograph a crime scene from this book.
Oh, interesting. Criminal investigation.
Yeah, and I actually applied this the day we found Brandon. I took the photographs of the evidence the exact same way a forensic photographer would have.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the ranger asked me, "Where did you learn how to do this?"
That's awesome. Can you share kind of what you did? Like what?
I can share with you from the book. Absolutely. The first thing you really want to do. Let's see if I can give you guys an example here. It's gonna be kind of hard to do, but here. Ooh, perfect example. Let's say this popsicle stick that I have in my hand is a piece of evidence.
Okay.
And you want to photograph it. You photograph it from all 4 angles, close up. Then you move to a medium distance and do the same thing. And then you do a much larger distance and capture other, objects in the photo. And that will help you. That'll give you a basic
understand
of your crime scene. And then you video it. And then what you do is you take measurements, like how far was the popsicle stick from my hat, or how far from the popsicle stick was it to my wall, and you create a sketch, or you would take an overhead photograph of it and apply all those measurements to the photograph, and that'll speak a lot in a courtroom.
Interesting. God, yeah, no wonder you don't want anybody picking anything up, because all that stuff they have to go through to collect evidence and stuff. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, that's I would definitely have to get the books on audio, but that sounds pretty cool.
Always let your mind be a learning, like a sponge, man. Just learn.
Oh yeah,
soak up everything. I've learned so much from doing this.
Yeah. I can imagine. Like I said, I'm so blessed with the platform, and that's why I try to get back as far as like helping with missing persons.
Absolutely.
Kind of the idea with this channel I wanted to do true crime, but I'm like, how can I help out with missing persons? And I'm like, in early stages of my YouTube, I tried just talking about those smaller missing person cases, but they weren't getting the views at all. Even though I had a decent subscriber, sadly, it's not really the viewer's fault. It's just that YouTube just doesn't really push that content out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And so now my kind of basically the how I do my show is I talk about an interesting case, that everybody's interested in, and then insert those missing person posters at the beginning. That way it's a win-win. Everybody's tuned in to talk about the big, subject. And then that way they get to see, those missing person posters. And, granted, it's, I haven't had anybody ever say, hey, I saw that person that you posted, but, maybe one day, even if it's one time, where it's like, hey, I saw this person on your channel. And you know what? Hey, I saw him, wandering. It just happens one time. That would be the biggest win ever.
That in of itself, man, is the right mindset to take. You never know, dude. All it takes is one person.
Mm-hmm.
All it takes is one person, one time, one person in the right place at the right time, man. And hey, keep doing what you're doing, bud. For real, man. You never know when that one person's going to be scrolling through YouTube, like you just said, see your video and go, oh my God, I saw that person he's talking about.
Yeah.
One person can make a difference. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody in the chat room can make a difference just by sharing a flyer.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, that would be bigger than any payment in the world. I'd take that over a $1,000,000. I mean, just to have that feeling.
Yeah, just that. Let me tell you
Yeah.
something, man. The satisfaction of knowing
Oh,
you just, dude, that's a high you can't top.
yes. Oh, I can't imagine. I can't imagine. Well deserved too. Well deserved.
Well, I mean, it wasn't just me, man. It was my search.
Sure,
It
sure.
was my search team. It was people like you that just shared the story. It was people like people in the chat room just talking about it. It really is. I mean, it really is just it's a whole community and group effort. I can't emphasize that enough. You know, it wasn't a Jason Watts thing. You know, yeah. I mean, I may have been putting in a lot of the work sometimes, but it's because I had great people having my back, dude.
Yeah.
Podcasters, just people, you know, like I said, people in the chat rooms commenting, and I can't emphasize that enough. Community involvement can make a difference. Absolutely.
Yeah, really. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't be here without my audience, and it pushes me.
I
You know,
wouldn't
when you
I wouldn't be here without them either. I mean, I
Mhm.
haven't met any of them, but everybody has a role to play, brother.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what I tell people, you know, who can't like donate and stuff. It's just being here and just chatting, or even you're just watching on your TV, because I know you can't chat on the TV, but just being there and watching the channel, it helps. And so,
Yeah.
um,
Is
the
there
last.
anything else while I'm here, man? I'm like I said, I'm happy to come on and discuss other cases with you at some time. I've got a couple I'm working on now.
Oh yeah. Do you want to share what you're?
Actually, yes. They're
Okay, sure.
hang on a second. Let me see if I've got her flyer in here. This is one I actually do need a lot of help with because it's a largely unknown case. I think, I hope, it's my belief and my hope that the young lady is still alive somewhere and just doesn't realize her family's looking for her. Had a little bit of a rough childhood and may have chosen to take off.
Mhm.
Let me see here. I got so many case files. I can't even keep up with
Oh
everything.
wow.
Oh yeah, that was Brandon's. You see how thick that bad boy is.
Oh wow.
And some people think I'm full of shit and don't know what I'm talking about.
Got the books and everything to back it up. Amazing.
All right.
How do I pin that?
Hopefully, I have her flyer in here. Shoot. I do not, actually.
Do you have her name?
Samantha Leanne Tapp.
Samantha. Leanne?
Yeah, Leanne. Leighanne. Samantha Leanne Tapp. She was a 16-year-old.
Two P's at the end?
Yes. She was a 16-year-old girl, went missing October 12, 2004 from Carlisle, Texas.
Oh, wow.
Last seen somewhere around 8 p.m. on the evening of the 12th by her sister. She was kind of, yep, that's her. Very good. Glad, thank you for bringing that up because now the audience,
buddy.
Yeah. This was a largely unknown case. Nobody knew hardly anything about it. And then I started looking into it and started helping spread the word. Now, when you actually Google her name, some podcasts will come up, as will her flyer. Yeah. Before when you would Google her, man, you would find her flyer. That's it. And so, yeah, I really need you. If you want to,
I'd be happy to.
Pardon me.
Oh, I said I'd be happy to feature her in the upcoming. Yeah. And discuss it even.
But anyway, she had her and her sister grew up in a foster family. They were actually adopted by a lady. They ended up going to live with their grandparents. Samantha got herself in trouble. She was on probation, not a serious crime, just taking a car without permission, but she was placed on probation for it. The sister went to live with her boyfriend. I think she was 18. You know, we all live with our partners a lot, you know, at that age. Well, Samantha snuck out of the house and she wasn't supposed to. and grandma came home while she was out of the house. And when she got back to the house, she realized grandma was home and said, "Oh crap, I'm in trouble." So she walked to the sister's house, a short distance away, and said, "Hey, look, I want to come live with you." And the sister said, "I'm sorry, we just don't have the room. I can't, you're going to have to go home." And that was the last. So the sister, Samantha got upset at her sister for not allowing her to stay with her and turned around and walked off. She hadn't been seen since.
Wow.
And she was listed as a runaway. She had, I don't even call this running away, but she had run away in the past. If you want to call it running away, it was usually going and crashing somewhere for the night and coming back, the next day or a few hours later. No prolonged, weeks without contacting people, nothing like that. But due to the fact that she was on probation and she had, left and stayed out for a few hours before they classified her as a runaway. And I think that may have hurt the investigation a little bit. But yeah, there's been no contact.
Oh yeah.
No hits on her social security. There's been a couple of hits on her name, but we don't know if it was actually her or not.
Interesting. And so while I have this up, this is supposed to be an age progression, correct?
Yeah, since she was 16 at the time of her disappearance, technically she's a child, so she went into the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's database, and that's an updated age progression photo that they did over last year.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I will definitely, at the very least, feature her, and then, I would be happy to discuss her story in the near future.
Great,
and, especially if you get information, that we could talk about, like on a whole show.
Yeah, I do have some. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we could definitely do that. Check the chat real quick here.
It's amazing how fast this time flows.
Yeah. So before we go, like I said, we're gonna have you help me, but like I said, take your time. We'll just have it when it comes out.
Yeah, I'll try to get it hopefully by the end of tomorrow. I have not forgot about you, buddy.
Okay, no, you're good, buddy. I think I already know some of the mistakes because I was watching some of your old interviews, and I'm like, oh, yep, okay, I got to tweak that a little bit.
I wouldn't even really call them mistakes, man. It's just,
Yeah. No, and I'm happy to. Like I said, it was just a rough draft anyway, so I was, so it's perfectly fine, and I'm honored to have the help. So yeah, that's coming out, and then I just have to mention next Tuesday I've got Gisla from Grizzly True Crime on. She is so awesome. Do you watch her channel at all? I know you're probably busy, but
there's so many podcasts and live streams.
Oh yeah,
keep up with them all.
I know what I want to ask. Did you go to CrimeCon?
I did.
You did.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Last, where do you live, Chris? Are you in
Salt Lake City, Utah?
Good.
So it was in Vegas, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. They would probably give you a little bit of a break since you're a content creator. I think they give discounts to content creators, but man, if you ever get the chance to go and be on Podcast Road, dude, go for it.
Yeah.
And anybody in the chat room that just wants to go as a true crime fan, do it.
Yeah.
You learn so much and you have a lot. You wouldn't think a convention centered on crime could be fun, but man, it's a great place for fans to come and meet the podcasters and meet their favorite true crime person.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's fun. A lot of times, the podcasters go and they hang out at the bar at the hotel, and the fans can come up and meet them after if they don't want the crowd. But Chris, as a content creator, I would recommend you go. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Next year is going to be in Orlando, Florida. Go.
Oh, cool.
Go, man. Go.
Yeah.
And if you can't make that, make the True Crime Podcast Festival. It's going to be
what's that?
Dallas in August. And I think
okay.
It's a little bit cheaper to go than CrimeCon.
Yeah.
But it's just as good, man.
Yeah.
Go, please.
That's crazy. I haven't heard of the festival. So, because I started my channel, I haven't even had my channel up for a year, and I hit the fast track. I got so lucky, and I'm so blessed because
I'm glad you have. God bless that way.
Yeah, it was crazy. Just overnight, just boom. Just because I was covering the Gabby Tito case, and Gabby Tito was the #1 searched word in Google.
Yeah,
in the search history. So, if you were putting out content that had Gabby Tito in it, you were going to get some views. And I just got lucky, and caught some things early on and kind of put it out before. Not saying I caught it before anybody else, but I just produced the content, a little faster than anybody as far as certain stories and certain things that Nick picked out and got lucky and just kind of hit a fast track. And so I am super blessed.
I did see a comment here about, I think it's about CrimeCon.
I'll go back.
I did not know that. Oh, wait, maybe I did. Because didn't you put out a thing on it?
Yeah. Oh, that was so crazy.
Yeah, I saw it briefly. There was another question here. Families of victims show up to CrimeCon to push their case. Yes, that is one of the things that you will see there. The Delphi family is usually there. What was the name of that kid that went missing out in the desert? Daniel Robinson, his father was there.
Oh, God, his father. What a trooper, man. Just
for real, dude. That
crushing.
Guy, woo, kudos to him.
Yeah.
Like I said, CrimeCon and then those conventions, I just can't say enough about. Good things about, man. Go.
Yeah, I can't find that comment. You found it. I'm glad you found it because I can't see it, but I'm so glad you found that. So I think we'll probably end it there. I usually go about 1 hour and a half. Cool. I appreciate you coming on so much.
Hey, man, I'm sorry. Awesome. Like I said, I'm sorry I couldn't have been more helpful than I was.
No.
Honestly, man, if I was you, just keep covering the case. Have your people in the chat room. Keep sharing the story. Keep talking about it.
Yep. Yeah, that's how you keep it alive. And yeah, like I said, the only reason I just haven't talked about Summer Wells is just because it kind of just took a wrong turn. But it's still being talked about, but it was just kind of went straight to the rumor mill because there was just nothing, no factual stuff other than some people that supposedly had lived there, and there's a few things, but other than that, nothing really. But I
want to thank the chat room for all their amazing comments. One person recommended I get a channel. I don't think anybody wants to hear me talk, man.
Oh no, they do. They do. The first time I had just on the phone call, they're like, yeah, it was all great. Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Don't put me on a pedestal I don't deserve to be on, man. But I do appreciate the love. I do appreciate the praise. I hope I get to meet all of you one day. Chris, I'll be in Orlando, buddy. If you can come,
that would be cool. Yeah.
We'll talk true crime. If anybody in the chat room.
Do they have it the same month every year?
No, it's
yearly.
They try to typically do it in the spring, but
okay.
This next year was a little bit unique because Orlando was supposed to be 2020, and as we all know, COVID really screwed that up.
Oh, okay.
So they're circling back and fulfilling their obligation in Orlando, and just September was the month that they were available to do it. Typically, they do it.
So is it this year?
Well, this year's was in Vegas.
Right.
Next year's September 22nd through the 20th.
Oh, so it's going to be so it's going to be a while. Okay.
Yeah, they typically try to do it anywhere from late April to early June is typically when they try to do it, but just next year's because they're circling back to Orlando. They had to push it out further in the year.
Yeah. Interesting. Actually, it'd probably be a nice time. September, Florida.
Orlando,
so not too hot.
Go hit up the beaches of Florida. Go see the coast.
I
did see one. If you need to stop recording, I can still hang out. We can just chat. I mean, I'm loving this. Have you ever lived in Oklahoma? If you don't mind me asking, that's actually a very funny question. I have never lived in Oklahoma, but I am probably related to just about everybody in Oklahoma through marriage or blood because my grandmother was the oldest of 13 children. My grandfather was the middle child of like 7 children. So, yeah, we got a lot of relatives.
No, because you look very familiar.
A lot of people are a little puzzled that I don't speak with a Texas accent because I've been born and raised in Texas my entire life. But no, it's because I'm related to half of Oklahoma and some of Iowa.
Interesting.
Huh.
Yeah. I'm the complete opposite. I come from such a small family, so not many roots. So it's a good and kind of a sad thing because it's like Yeah, not much to come back on, but yeah, that's cool. Let me just check the comments.
She's the wife of Rock says, "I'm from Oklahoma, and you look very familiar." Okay,
Oh, there you go.
gotta ask the question: what part of Oklahoma are you from?
There you go. Yeah, I went out to Ohio for a little bit and then came back because I love the mountains. Salt Lake, we have the Rocky Mountains, obviously, and we live in a valley. And
she's from Tulsa. Okay, don't be surprised if somebody related to me. I've got family in Oklahoma City, Stillwater, Stroud, Chandler, Cushing. Jeez, fudge. I've got family in Tulsa. Man, just all over the place.
Let's see. Oh, she says, my Gaines people are from Oklahoma. My dad was born in Lawton.
I've got family in Lawton.
I have comments all over Pennsylvania.
My mom was actually born in Cushing, Oklahoma.
What is it? Cushing?
My mom, she was born in Cushing, Oklahoma.
Cushing. Oh, yeah. Nice. And so, now what part of Texas are you in? I forget.
Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's where I've
pretty
much been my entire life, with the exception of 3 years I spent down in Houston when I was a kid. But
awesome.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
Dallas-Fort Worth.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, yeah. Well, so we'll end it there, so it's not too long. But so anyway, for those of you looking forward to the content coming up, like I said, we got Brandon Lawson's story, talking Delphi again, and there's one more I was trying to think of, and I can't think of it now. But yeah, those are the two big ones coming up, and then Skinwalker Ranch. I do have some stuff for the members because I've been saying I was going to have.
I'll have
some extra footage. Yeah, I'll talk to you after the show just a little bit about that. That was kind of interesting.
Cool. Well, crazy. Sorry we're having to end the night. I always enjoy doing these things. I always enjoy interacting with the crowd and with you. And
oh yeah, dude, you've been an amazing guest. Easy to talk to. So definitely do it again for sure.
Oh hell
yeah. So with that said, I love you guys. Do you want to say goodbye, Jason?
Hey, thank y'all so much for stopping in and being a part of Chris's stuff tonight. Thank you for listening to me blabber for an hour and a half. Just appreciate it so much.
Awesome. They love having you here. So we'll have them on soon for sure. So thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful weekend. I should be on tomorrow. So we'll see you guys then. Love you guys.